The NFL draft is officially over, and the Philadelphia Eagles are huge winners once again, as not only was Howie Roseman able to steal Jihaad Campbell in the first round, but the Birds also added a couple more playmakers on defense, including an absolute dog and ball hawk at the safety position, and a freakishly athletic monster at defensive tackle. And both of these guys could come in right away and make an impact. And on top of that, the Birds also got some exciting players in the later rounds, including a few guys who could wind up being absolute steals. So let's break it all down, starting right now. As we all know, the Eagles started off their draft with a bang as Howie Roseman pulled off highway robbery once again, this time trading up and selecting Alabama linebacker Jihaad Campbell with the 31st overall pick.
We got you. You are a Philadelphia Eagle. Congratulations.
I got you.
We are so excited, man.
We were trying to get you for the last hour. You fit right in perfectly, and unbelievable. Jihaad, congrats, man.
I'm just blessed, man. You know, to add more value to the team, man.
Hey, and we know you're going to do that.
I honestly don't know how the NFL just continues to let Howie Roseman and the Eagles get away with stuff like this during the draft year in and year out. I mean, Campbell's a guy that many had as a top 10 to 15 talent in this entire class, so him going to Philly all the way back at 31 already looks like an absolute steal, and I think he's going to fit right in with Vic Fangio's Super Bowl champion defense just as a versatile weapon that can do multiple different things, whether that's rushing off the edge or playing coverage or blitzing at off-ball linebacker. I mean, like I said, Campbell's just a versatile weapon, and I think he's going to fit right in with this Eagles defense. Now, what exactly will Campbell's role look like? That remains to be seen, but however he ends up being utilized, he seems ready to embrace it and to make an immediate impact.
What do you like about being an edge rusher, and what do you like about being a linebacker, and how different are they?
I like being a football player. I like being an absolute baller, a dude that can do everything, that can learn and grow, and, you know, just maximize each and every opportunity that I have to play this game.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think that's the perfect mentality for Campbell to have, just wanting to make an impact in any way that he can. And it's just going to be really interesting to see how exactly the Birds do want to utilize him this year. I mean, based on how they've been talking about him, it sounds like they view him as more of an edge rusher long term, but for this year, the Eagles already have some decent depth at edge rusher, and inside linebacker is definitely the bigger question mark just with the injury to Nakobe Dean. So only time will tell how the Eagles end up using Jihaad Campbell, but again, no matter how they use him, I think this is a phenomenal pick and an absolute steal for Philadelphia. But of course, round one was only the beginning, as the Eagles still had plenty of moves left to make and plenty of players to add to their squad over the next 2 days of the draft. And in the second round, Philadelphia added what looks to be another player who could come in and possibly make an immediate impact. But real quick before we get into that, I do want to take a minute to talk to you about the sponsor of today's video, Turtle Beach. Turtle Beach is a company that sells headsets, controllers, and all sorts of gaming accessories across multiple platforms. And I've actually used one of their Xbox headsets for years now, and I've always been really happy with it. So I was absolutely thrilled when they reached out and offered to send me their wireless Stealth 700 headset. And I gotta say, this thing right here is pretty awesome. Now, the first thing I did was ran a game with our Eagles on Madden, and I immediately noticed how amazing the sound quality is, and the headset's 3D spatial audio feature immerses you right into whatever game you're playing. I mean, take a game like Fortnite, for example, which, to be clear, I absolutely suck at, but at least the 3D audio of the headset gives me an edge by helping me to know where the enemies are coming from. And that's not all, because on top of that, this headset is super comfortable, and with a whopping 80 hours of battery life, that means you can play for hours by yourself or with friends with no issue. Plus, the Stealth 700 headset has a crazy crossplay transmitting feature, meaning you can switch between different consoles with the click of a button, or you can also connect it to your phone as well. I mean, again, guys, I love this headset, so go to turtlebeach.com and use code PhillyFans for 10% off your entire order. Again, that's 10% off at turtlebeach.com with promo code PhillyFans, and afterwards, please let them know that I sent you, because that really helps support the channel. And again, thank you to Turtle Beach for sponsoring today's video. So, as I was saying, the Eagles may have got another immediate impact player in the second round, as they took Texas safety Andrew Mukuba with the 64th overall pick.
This is Howie Roseman from the Eagles.
Hey, how you doing?
You ready to come to Philly?
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to pick you with this pick. Congratulations.
Man, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're excited to have you.
We're patient the whole round, waiting for you, and we got you.
Nah, y'all got the best on for sure. For sure.
You're going to play for a great team.
Just like Mukuba, I am pretty fired up about this pick, and it makes perfect sense, just considering that following the trade of C.J. Gardner-Johnson earlier this offseason, safety immediately became one of the Birds' biggest positions in need, and Mukuba's a guy who can come in and right away compete with Sidney Brown for the starting job, as the Texas star is yet another versatile player given that he played both safety and slot corner in college. So while Howie Roseman confirmed that he is going to start out as a safety with the Birds, he does have the ability to move around and play in multiple different spots, whether it's back deep, in the box, or in the slot. And on top of that, Mukuba also has a very physical play style and isn't afraid to lay a big hit despite his smaller size. So personally, I love that because I think the Eagles just need an enforcer back there at the safety position, not to mention that he's also fantastic in coverage and he has the ability to take the football away. As in his senior season at Texas, Mukuba played 401 coverage snaps and he allowed just 10 catches for 74 yards on 23 targets and no touchdowns the entire year, which is just insane. Not to mention that opposing QBs had just a 12.1 passer rating when targeting Mukuba, and he also came away with a whopping 5 interceptions and 6 pass breakups as well. So he very clearly has great ball skills, he's a ball hawk, he's locked down in coverage, he can run and hit, he's got great mentality, he's versatile, like he's just good at so many different things. And that's something that Howie Roseman echoed in his Day 2 draft press conference.
It's really hard to find cover safeties and guys who have the ability to come down and play over the slot, play in the middle of the field, have natural instincts, play the ball. You know, he was a slot corner at Clemson before he transferred to Texas. He's an Austin kid. He's got ball skills. He plays with mentality, you know, and this guy, it's just he plays an Eagles brand of football, and I think for us, you know, kind of the value fit the need right there, and we felt like throughout this process, this guy just did everything, checked all the boxes, and that was really what we're looking for from that position.
Yeah, so like Howie said, he really does check all the boxes. Now, obviously, as with any player coming out of the draft, he does have a few weaknesses, the main one being his size at 5'11 and just 186 pounds, so he's definitely very much on the lighter side, plus he also has a tendency to be over-aggressive and miss tackles, but the upside and potential is still clearly there. And what's interesting is that, as Anthony DeBona pointed out, Mukuba is very similar to now former Eagles safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson, as while C.J. significantly outweighs Mukuba, they do have almost identical height, arm length, and 40-yard dash times. They both are versatile chess pieces that can be moved around to different spots on defense. They both hit hard, and they also both have a tendency to miss tackles. So I'm guessing the hope for the Eagles is that Mukuba can become their next C.J. Gardner-Johnson, minus the missed tackles, of course. Or also, DeBona later pointed out that maybe he could become their next Rodney McLeod, as he was also an undersized, hard-hitting safety too. So, you know, we'll see how it all plays out, but again, I think that Mukuba was a great pick for the Birds in the second round. The rest of Day 2 was definitely a little less exciting though, as despite the Eagles set to pick again at 96th overall in the third round, when it was all said and done, they didn't get to add any more players, as they actually traded down twice, first with the Atlanta Falcons going down to 101st overall, while also acquiring a 2026 fifth round pick, and then again with the Broncos exchanging that pick 101 and also pick 134 for picks 111, 130, and 194. So essentially what the Eagles did was trade down 15 spots going from 96 to 111, while also moving up 4 spots from 134 to 130 and acquiring an additional 6th round pick this year and 5th round pick next year. So, you know, it's definitely good to acquire additional draft picks there. And those moves only set the stage for what was set to be a wild Day 3, with the Eagles having 6 picks. And man, did the Birds start off Day 3 on a high note, as with the 111th pick, they made what I think is a phenomenal selection, as they took Nebraska defensive tackle Ty Robinson. And not only is this great because it fills a potential need at defensive tackle after the departure of Milton Williams, but Robinson's also a really exciting prospect, given that not only is this guy a massive human being standing at 6'5" and 288 pounds, but he's also a freak athlete, as he showed out at the Combine with elite performances in most drills, including running the fastest 40-yard dash of any defensive tackle at 4.83 seconds, and he also ended up earning a near-perfect RAS score of 9.89. Plus, on top of that, Robinson is coming off a breakout year in Nebraska where he put up 7 sacks and 12.5 tackles for loss, and he's just an overall solid defensive tackle prospect, being good at filling up run lanes. He's got good potential as a pass rusher. He's versatile, being able to move up and down the defensive line. He's strong, he's violent, he's physical, and I just think with the Eagles playing alongside somebody like Jalen Carter and in Vic Fangio's defense, and also being coached by Clint Hurt, he has the chance to develop into a really solid defensive tackle at the NFL level. And it sounds like he's willing to do anything it takes to get better and help the team.
I feel like, that versatility is something that, I've kind of honed in on, being able to play all over the line. I'm willing to do whatever the coaches need me to do, learn a new role or a new spot, or, I'm just looking to work to, develop myself and become a better player to help the team in any way I can.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely really excited about the Eagles' selection of Ty Robinson. It's definitely one of my favorite picks for the Birds in this entire draft just because of his athleticism and upside. And Robinson's former teammate at Nebraska in center Cam Jurgens is excited too.
The Eagles just traded up to take Ty Robinson, defensive tackle from Nebraska.
Let's go. Let's go. Go Big Red. I got to text him right now.
Now, moving on, the next thing the Eagles did was make yet another draft day trade, this time moving down from 130 to 145 and acquiring another draft pick in the process at 207. And when they finally got to the 145th overall pick, the Birds selected a cornerback in UCF's McWilliams. And this is definitely an interesting selection. I mean, some people may disagree with it, but I actually think it does make a ton of sense. I mean, this is a guy who can come in and fill a need right away, being that backup slot cornerback position behind Cooper DeJean. And the main knock on McWilliams I've seen is his size, being just 5'10 and only 185 pounds, but I think that works fine for the slot position, especially since McWilliams is a guy who plays with a lot of grit, a lot of physicality, and a lot of toughness, which is something the Eagles clearly value a lot. Plus, he's also got good ball skills, he's solid in tackling situations and in run support. Plus, he was also super impressive at the Senior Bowl, and in big moments against the best competition, he showed out. With analyst Ryan Fowler pointing out, quote, McWilliams is the type of player we could look back on in a few years from now and ask how he slipped to the 5th. Turn on his tape against Travis Hunter, Teteroa McMillan, or a 2026 first rounder Jordan Tyson. Outstanding stuff. Also, he had an excellent week at the Senior Bowl, one of my personal favorite day 2, day 3 corners in the class that I had a third on. So to me, I think McWilliams is a solid pick in the 5th round, but I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts. Now, next up, the Eagles couldn't help themselves, and they had to add yet another Georgia Bulldog as they selected linebacker Smael Mondon Jr. with the 161st overall pick in the 5th round. And not only is it great to just get another Philly dog who, by the way, played with all the other Eagles Georgia players in college, but it's also nice to just get some more depth at the linebacker position and add a really good athlete and exciting prospect while doing it. As like I said, Mondon is an exceptional athlete, having good speed, great burst, and an ability to get sideline to sideline in a hurry. Plus, he's also a really good tackler, and he's got ability in zone coverage too. Now, the main issue with Mondon has been injuries, both at the collegiate and high school level, and he definitely also has some work to do in terms of his processing speed as well, but overall, he's a good developmental linebacker with potential and also familiarity with a lot of the Eagles' defensive players. So overall, I like the pick. But moving on, the next thing the Eagles did was another trade back, this time sending pick 165 to the Chargers in exchange for the 181st pick and the 209th pick. So they somehow added yet another pick in this deal. And then shortly after that, they were also on the clock again at 168, where they took Boston College center Drew Kendall. And as has been the theme with a lot of the Eagles draft picks this year, this guy is another great athlete, earning an RAS score of 9.09, so naturally he has some good ability to get out in space in the run game, which is something the Eagles obviously like from their offensive linemen. And he was also great in pass protection in college, starting 37 games but allowing just 2 sacks and 1,238 pass block snaps in his entire college career, and that included 0 this past season. Now, the interesting thing about this pick is that it looked like the Eagles had drafted their backup center last year in Dylan McMahon, but he didn't make the final roster in large part because he was limited to just the center position. However, even though Kendall has only played center in college, the Birds listed him as a center/guard, so maybe that means they think he can do both or transition to just being a guard. So we'll see what happens, but just based on his college production and also his athletic ability, I think this is yet another solid selection. Now, next up for the Eagles was another addition to Howie Roseman's quarterback factory, as with the 181st overall pick in the 6th round, the Birds selected Syracuse's Kyle McCord. And, he's not going to come in here and be anything more than a backup to the backup, at least in year one, but he does have some solid traits, as he's a good pocket passer who gets the ball out of his hands pretty fast. He throws with anticipation. He's got a nice deep ball. He led the nation in passing yards this past season, and he's also a natural leader. So, I know some people would have rather the Birds drafted national champion Will Howard, but I trust Howie and the Eagles' judgment. My only question, though, is who's going to be the odd man out, because the Birds aren't keeping 4 quarterbacks on their roster. So either McCord or Dorian Thompson-Robinson isn't making the cut, and if it's McCord that doesn't make it, then I don't think this pick really makes any sense. But, we'll see what happens. Moving on, though, the Eagles' next selection came at pick 191, where they took Michigan offensive tackle Myles Hinton. And you want to talk about a massive human being. Like, Hinton is a huge man, standing at 6'7", 323 pounds, and he plays like it too, as he's super strong and can move defenders both in the run game and pass protection. Plus, he's also got decent mobility and agility for a big guy, being able to pull and get out in space pretty well. And he also has the versatility to play both tackle positions, so that's obviously huge. Now, he does have a lot to work on in terms of his technique and hand usage and processing speed, but as we know, Stoutland University is a very real thing, and as a 6th round pick, I definitely like the addition of Hinton to add some depth to the offensive line. And speaking of adding depth to the offensive line, the Eagles double dip there with their next pick, taking Texas offensive tackle Cameron Williams at pick 207. And like Hinton, Williams is another huge man, standing at 6'6", 334 pounds, and he also has the versatility to play both tackle positions. So there's another depth swing tackle added to Stoutland University, which is definitely awesome. Not to mention that the Eagles got him for great value. As like Anthony DeBona pointed out, a lot of NFL draft experts and analysts had Williams as a top 100 to 150 prospect. And a lot of guys had him going in the 4th round. So the fact that the Eagles got him this late in the 6th round is absolutely amazing. And I haven't even mentioned that Williams has a ton of potential, given the fact that he only started 1 year at Texas, and he was very hot and cold. But the physical tools are there, and if he went back to Texas for another year, Fran Duffy said he would be on all the way too early 1st round mock drafts for next year. And now he gets to come in and be a part of the best offensive line culture in the entire NFL. So I don't know about you, but from the sound of that, it sounds like this pick has the potential to turn out being an absolute steal for the Eagles. And I also feel the same way about their final pick being Virginia Tech edge rusher Antwuan Powell-Ryland at 209th overall. And this is yet another guy that the Eagles got for great value, with some people ranking him as a potential 4th round guy, not to mention that he put up 16 sacks and 19 tackles for loss last year, while he also had 9.5 sacks in 2023, and he's got a pretty good bag of pass rush moves, so he very clearly has potential to be a good pass rusher, and for the Eagles to get him this late, it's just crazy to me. Now, he is definitely undersized, but if he can overcome that, he might just become a good player one day, so we'll see if he's able to make the roster in training camp, but again, for the value at which they got him, I think it's amazing, and it could turn out to be an absolute steal. And that pick wrapped up the Eagles' 2025 draft, and I gotta say, I think they were phenomenal once again. I mean, sure, you can question why they didn't draft a tight end. There were a couple trade backs at certain points where it seemed like a guy that they wanted got picked right before they were on the clock, so they just kind of were forced to trade back. And you can also definitely debate some of these later round picks, but at the end of the day, I think it mostly comes down to those first 3 picks. I mean, I think all of those were phenomenal, and each of those guys has a chance to make an immediate impact early. And then in the later rounds, those picks are never a sure thing anyway, but I still think the Eagles managed to get really good value for a couple guys. And at the end of the day, I trust Howie Roseman and his decision making, so overall, I think it was yet another dominant draft day for the Philadelphia Eagles once again. The rich get richer, and as an Eagles fan, I absolutely love to see it. But that said, you guys can let me know what you thought about the Eagles' entire 25 draft class down in the comments below. Who was your favorite pick? Just give me all your thoughts again down in the comments below. And also, something interesting that happened, or should I say didn't happen in the draft, is Dallas Goedert, he didn't get traded. So that's definitely something that we're going to continue to talk about here and monitor as we go forward on this channel. So again, if you don't want to miss anything, make sure you subscribe and you turn on notifications. That way, when I upload a video or go live, you know instantly. Again, you guys are not going to miss anything, so subscribe, turn on notifications, and also drop a like down below to show some support so you can get to at least 700 likes on today's video. That would be greatly appreciated. And also, check out Turtle Beach. Again, my link is down in the description. And also, if you want to watch another Eagles video going way more in depth on the Jihaad Campbell pick and why I think that's unfair for the NFL, you can check this out right here. And now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.